have you changed your stance on any specific foods, any specific vegetables, or is a lot of it coming down to, hey, it's a little bit more bio-individual based upon like what's causing an issue with you?
Well, one of the things that has surprised me is we started doing more specific testing for the components of dairy and the components of egg, either egg white or egg yolk, is that a large number of my patients with autoimmune diseases, at least initially, react to almost all forms of dairy and egg white and egg yolk. And that surprised me, but it was there and staring me in the face. And I talk about in Gut Check, look, if you've got an autoimmune disease, for now, give up all forms of dairy and give up eggs. And that's something that's changed with me. Now, for most people, we can get it back to them. Fermented dairy, actually casein, which is one of the trouble-making proteins in dairy, is broken down with fermentation and makes it a more favorable form. So when we add dairy back into people, we add usually sheep and goat cheeses back or sheep and goat yogurts back. But dairy was a surprise to me about how many people react to it. The other thing, I'll tell you actually a humorous story. In my practice, our initial food recommendations, we didn't allow people to have almonds because a lot of my patients, particularly with rheumatoid arthritis, almonds were a trigger for them. They noticed that their joints hurt when they ate almonds. And so almonds were banned from the original list. And when my editors with the Plant Paradox said, look, you are a really mean, nasty guy. You've taken all these things away from people. They can't have peanuts. They can't have cashews. Come on, throw us a bone. And I said, well, look, the almonds in general, the peel has the lectins. So if you have blanched almonds or if you have Marcona almonds or if you have almond flour, it'll probably be okay. And then we say, oh, okay. So fast forward when we began food sensitivity testing, lo and behold, almonds popped up, almond flour popped up as this trigger for a great number of my patients. And I went, son of a gun, I knew I shouldn't let people have almonds. So I have a list of the top 12 worst offenders that really surprise people, but almonds are number one on the offender list.
You've got to check out this PEMF mat. So this pulse electromagnetic field mat from BondCharge. So if you've seen me talk about the sauna blankets before, this biohacking company has come out with this super cool mat. So this mat uses like grounding technology and it uses all kinds of different waves. So it can send delta waves through your body, it can send alpha waves, beta waves to change sort of your state and help you relax. It's really cool stuff. So if you're trying to improve your sleep, trying to improve your mood, trying to calm your central nervous system, it really is a game changer for that. Like I laid on it the first time and within 15 minutes, I felt like my state had completely shifted. I was much more relaxed, but they're also using red light therapy and they're also using infrared as well. So you're getting infrared heat, so you get this like relaxing effect when you lay on it. You're also getting 660 red light therapy as well, so you're getting the red light effect, but then you have 5 different settings for different PEMF settings. And what that means is you're basically sending small amounts of delta waves or small amounts of specific grounding waves to kind of change your body's feeling and how you feel. It's pretty cool. So you use it for like 10, 15 minutes per day, and you just do it when you're meditating, you do it when you're doing breath work or anything like that. They deliver super, super fast, like worldwide shipping anywhere, and that link down below saves you some serious cashola. So that is a discount link down below using that code and that link. So after today's video, if you want to try something that's going to change how you feel pretty darn quick, at least in my opinion, check out BondCharge's PEMF mat down below.
You know what's wild is, for 10 years I did a ketogenic diet. Right? That's a lot of my channel was built talking about that. And I started noticing that, as more and more keto products came out, we were consuming more and more and more almond flour, right? And I started to notice to a point, I would start feeling foggy. I started recommending on my videos, maybe we should be reducing this almond flour. There's something going on. I can't put my finger on it, but why am I brain foggy every time I have almonds? I've since pretty much eliminated almonds out of my diet just because I don't think they're this terrible food, but I just don't feel good. I don't feel good, and there's a clear line of how I feel between before eating almonds and after eating almonds. So, it's the same kind of thing for me. Occasionally I'll have some sprouted almonds, but I really try to limit. It's just wild, and I almost wonder if all of these almond flour products coming on the market, like people are just consuming so much of them that either now they're noticing it and they didn't notice it before because maybe they weren't consuming as much, or B, they're consuming it so much that they're developing issues with it. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, I have a woman patient that I've written about in the past who had psoriasis, really massive psoriasis, and we got her off of all of her meds, and all of her psoriatic plaques resolved except one spot on her back, which is about 2 inches around. And she was really happy. She said, hey, I don't have it anywhere. It's not in my scalp. I'm a happy camper. But isn't it interesting that I have this one spot and it won't go away? And I said, well, would you mind if we do, a food sensitivity test and see? And so it's a blood test, and we sent it off. She usually gets the copy before I see her back, in this case. And lo and behold, almonds was bright red, almond flour. And she was making almond flour cookies, almond flour bread, all the time. So she had about 2 weeks before our next appointment. So she stopped her almond. The other thing she was very sensitive was to vanilla bean. And vanilla bean pops up all the time in people. So she took away her vanilla extract, which she was using in her almond flour cookies. And so this was 2 weeks before I see her next. She walks in, she said, you got to look at this, and pulls up her shirt. It's now not 2 inches, but 1 inch in 2 weeks. And she says, it was the almond flour and the vanilla bean. And I've got an NHL star who was literally dying of Crohn's disease. And 20 episodes of bloody diarrhea a day on multiple meds, got down to 87 pounds and was being cared for by his mother. And they found the Plant Paradox book and got down to about 5 bowel movements a day, started gaining weight. We did the same tests on him, and sure enough, almond flour and vanilla beans were one of his biggest triggers. He's now back playing in the NHL.
Holy cow.
Just getting rid. And it's like, what the heck? Almond flour and vanilla extract? And the hilarious thing is, so with those patients, I say, the great news is that imitation vanilla extract is just fine for you to use. I can't believe I'm saying that, right?
That's interesting. And I've heard you kind of talk about this before, and it's made me scratch my head. This is an interesting story. I've always had a big sensitivity to poison oak, like always, very sensitive to it ever since I was a young kid. About 4 or 5 years ago, I got a really bad systemic bout of it. Really, really bad. It was in my airway. It was really bad. I got one particular patch on my shin. It was really bad, really deep, really gnarly. Okay, that subsides. It was a miserable 6-8 weeks of not sleeping and whatever. Anyway, now, this is funny. Whenever I have cashews, I can't eat cashews anymore. Whenever I have cashews, this is what's super bizarre. The rash comes back and I itch. No one believes me. People think I'm nuts until I literally, no pun intended, will eat cashews, and it happens. And so my family's seen it because little things end up in there. Oh, here's a piece of chocolate. Oh, low carb chocolate. Didn't realize it was made with cashew butter. Should have looked. And then I'm like, oh, I'm itching. I'm like, holy cow. The rash is appearing like where I had poison oak. And you can't make that. I guess you could make that stuff up, but that legitimately is happening to me. So I can't touch cashews.
It's the same family as poison ivy. Yep. It's the same family. And it's amazing. I was on shows. There was a juice company. The young lady was listening, and we were talking, and she was a big fan of cashew milk, and she had really bad GI issues. And So she gotten rid of dairy and she was using cashew milk, and she overheard me saying, man, cashew milk and cashews, if you like swallowing poison ivy, go right ahead. And so she stopped that. And I had stopped by the studio for some other reason, and she grabbed me. She says, it was the cashews. It was the cashews. I don't have any issues anymore. And how did you know? I said, I didn't know. It's poison ivy. So, yeah.
I mean, I think it's true when they harvest those things, they're wearing full gear.
Oh, yeah. There's cashew picker's disease. They get burns on their hands.
Yeah.
And the Amazonian Indians, where cashews originally came from, they always take the cashew nut off and eat the fruit. They throw it away.
Wild.
They give it to us.